Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm Tom Bozo, CEO of Homeboy Industries. And we at Homeboy are super excited to be here today to celebrate the granting of the Everychild Foundation grant to Homeboy to start a youth services program. We at Homeboy have been really excited to have this day of celebration. Originally, we had this scheduled in mid-March. That was just as the pandemic was hitting us all. And so we chose to delay the celebration until a later time when we can all be together. But as we all know, life now is via virtual and via Zoom. And so we're happy to kick this off and thank you for all attending and to do what we're doing to put a spotlight on the great work of Homeboy and to thank a lot of folks that have been involved in making this happen. So what we're trying to do with this award is to create the really LA County's first youth gang reentry program. And we at Homeboy have had a long history of working with not just men and women, but youth, young men and women, young women and girls, boys and girls, to really help them find a different way forward in life, to help them as they come out of the criminal justice system and they've been incarcerated, to help them lead them forward through a healing set of wraparound programs. And over the last few years, we have developed an understanding that youth need a more specialized program. And so thereby, what we wanted to do was concentrate our efforts, start up in a new building on First Street in Boyle Heights. And to make that happen, the good folks at the Everychild Foundation have awarded us the grant to move that forward. So we're super excited to have this day come about. And really, if you think about Homeboy over the many, many years, we have a great cultural competency with getting gang members out of gangs to help move their life forward. And we can only do that with partners. And before I hand this off to other folks to talk today, I very much want to thank the good folks at the Everychild Foundation. They've been really terrific to work with this past year in making this happen. And for me, it's really a testament to what they're trying to accomplish with their mission, that they choose to put their money to work towards helping people, and in particular, helping youth. And in their 20th year, as you think of all the great organizations they've supported, we're really proud to be their 20th recipient. And as they put their money to use to help people move their life forward, it's also about helping the ones who are most demonized and forgotten. And so for them to stand with us as we say, look, these youth that we work with that are part of our community, they shouldn't be forgotten, they shouldn't be demonized. And we at Homeboy work to put that forward together, and the partnership with Everychild is just the beginning, I think, of a lot of great work that we have going forward. And so let me first hand it off to Supervisor Hilda Solis. She's a chair pro tem, and she's been a great friend of Homeboy for many years. She understands our mission well, she understands our community well, and she's been a vocal advocate for our people we serve most, and also the people who are least remembered in our society. So let me hand this now over to Supervisor Solis.
We okay? Can you hear me? Oh, shoot.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry, little technicalities here. Thank you to everybody. And Tom, thank you for that great introduction. And I just am really proud to be able to join you all, and really want to say thank you to Father Greg Boyle and to Homeboy Industries. I mean, I have been your followers for as long as I can remember, and really want to let you know that, yes, like anything else, I am here to try to assist in any way I can, and will continue to help foster programs like this, because they are very important, especially because of what is going on now with COVID-19. We have a new reality. It's a different normal, and it's going to require us to do much more work on a more intensive basis, and one that is going to really require us to provide the assistance and help that these young people, men and women, need. And that means the kinds of things that Homeboy is well versed in doing, and that's wraparound services and doing the high touch and low touch and all the other good things that help to bring people together to understand themselves, to understand their power and their ability to make changes. And I love the fact that you have in the past years offered so many apprenticeship programs. As you know, former Secretary of Labor, that is the essence of teaching people new livelihoods, new opportunities to be able to enter into careers that are going to be lasting, and not just a job, but a career, and help them get the kind of employment opportunities that lift them up, lift their families up, and give hope back to our neighborhoods and our comunidades. So, you know, I am really pleased to be at this particular point in time with the County of Los Angeles. If people have been paying attention, we're doing some really dramatic things now. We're not talking about jail first, we're talking about care first and jail last. And what that means is reconfiguring the whole idea about what incarceration means and what it has done to people's lives, and not just the individual that may be caught up in the system, but their family members in our community.
Just do that and I'll get to the sponge right now.
How historically that has really devastated generation after generation. And I know a little bit about that, having grown up in a small town community in La Puente in San Gabriel Valley as a young person, seeing how many of our young men were abused by our local law enforcement officers. And no one knew that they could stand up and have a voice and know that there was other routes for careers and opportunity for them. And it took a while for us to better understand that, those of us that grew up in communities like that, and we still have a long way to go. So I'm just tremendously honored and happy that Everychild Foundation is making this $1 million grant available to a very well-deserved organization. I mean, Lord knows, Homeboys, Father Boy, you've done so much to help so many people, uplifting also Latinas. And I first and foremost want to underscore that, because many times Latinas aren't affiliated or associated in the same way when we talk about what is happening with people that are incarcerated. But we have a lot of young women that I've met over the course of my 5 years on the County Board of Supervisors at the camps, probation camps, at the juvenile hall, and even at the Linwood Jail Center, where I saw some very decrepit places where people should not be there living. And that's not a place where you get well. And we really need to lift voices up and change that paradigm. And we're starting to see it happen right now in LA. We may not, and I'm praying on this, Father Boyle, that we can really uplift programs like the Office of Diversion and Reentry, and making sure that that can be the first way out, and a way of coming back and reintegrating into our community and working with you, alongside you, to be able to refer individuals to you even before they get into those cycles that historically really weigh down our community. I'm hopeful that soon we won't even have a men's central jail, knock on wood. I'm going to work hard, but I'm going to need the help of everybody out there, because we're not saying that we're just going to get rid of individuals and they're going to just be out and about. They're going to get help. They're going to get treatment. They're going to get assistance, like the kind of work and value that Homeboy does. And that's what's really where our goals are at the County Board of Supervisors. So I'm looking forward to all the wonderful things that you're going to be doing, changing young people's lives, giving them a second, a third, and a fourth chance at really realizing their potential. I, as a daughter of immigrants, know how important it is to be able to have outside individuals impacting you, because in many ways we don't have family members within our own network that have had experience to help empower us, to give us hope and inspire us. And sometimes it takes an outside individual or organization to have that impact. And I was so proud that I had somebody in my life, a Mr. Sanchez, who said, you know what, Hilda, you have the ganas, you have the ability to make changes. You don't have to end up like a statistic like others, dropouts from the high school that I attended, or those that were sent to camps and things like that. There are opportunities, and I know Homeboy Industries, as well as Everychild Foundation, are on the right track to set us straight. So I just want to applaud you, want to thank you all, and really encourage our young people to think about working alongside with us, those of us that really do trust our community and trust you, our future leaders, to give us the kind of ganas and energy to move forward and to move the county of Los Angeles toward a better care first and jail last model. So thank you, muchísimas gracias for having me on the call.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis, and very much appreciate all your support, without a doubt. And this is a youth reentry center, and we want to now hand it off to Mark, who's been in our program, and he wants to say a few words about himself and what this has meant for him going forward.
Hey everyone, my name is Mark Anthony Garcia. I'm a former incarcerated youth and a high school graduate from Learning Works, the Reentry Center at First Street, and the current college student with an A in my first class. I'm gonna say a little bit about myself. I remember growing up as a kid, seeing glass pipes, no food in the refrigerator, and many types of abuse. I ended up going to foster care the day of my birthday when I was really young for over a year. Growing up in LA, a lot of my friends that I had in middle school grew up and got life in prison. Some got killed and some got addicted to drugs and never came back. Before I came to the Homeboy Reentry Center, I was lost in drugs and deep into gang violence. When I was at a regular high school, I got bad grades and I would get into trouble and fights and gang conflicts. I always felt like an outcast. Whenever I got in trouble, I would get punished, screamed at, and I would get shamed for who I am as a person. When I came to the Homeboy Reentry Center, after bouncing around multiple schools, I felt welcome and accepted. When I got into trouble at school, I got love and advice from my mentors. However, I didn't realize the opportunities here at Homeboy's Reentry Center due to the drugs and my gang involvement. With the help of Homeboy Reentry Center, for the first time since I could remember, I was pulling away from gang involvement. I competed in amateur boxing. I got Student of the Month, Most Improved of the Month. I got good grades and a job for the first time. But then my past gang violence and drug addiction held me back from breaking the chains and succeeding as a former incarcerated youth. I hit rock bottom and I got worse. I did worse than I ever done in my life. The chains that I was breaking were coming in for the last hit, the last fight, and I was breaking it, but I fell, and regardless of the trauma from gang violence holding me back, Homeboys was still there with open arms, love, kindness, and a job as well. Only then did I realize what I was truly missing out on, and the family that I've been looking for in gangs was here the whole time. Now I graduated high school, I'm currently taking college classes, and I have a future I could not even imagine without Homeboys. First Street Homeboys is home for me and many other former incarcerated youth. Homeboys Learning Works doesn't treat former incarcerated youth like criminals or objects. Homeboys Learning Works is my home and home to many other former incarcerated youth. Homeboys is family, and thank you. I'd like to pass it over to Jacqueline Castor, who is the president and founder of the Everychild Foundation. Thank you.
On behalf of the members of the Everychild Foundation, thank you for sharing your story, Mark, and it's an honor to be here. We are especially delighted because the year 2020 marks our milestone 20th anniversary, as Tom told you, and who could be more worthy than Homeboy Industries to be the recipient of our 20th annual grant. Thank you all for being here, and especially thank you to Homeboy founder Father Greg Boyle, CEO Tom Vazzo, and the Homeboy board and staff, Supervisor Solis, who carved time out of her very busy schedule to be here, and last but not least, the amazing women of the Everychild Foundation, whose generosity made today happen. Everychild Foundation's mission is to ease suffering of local children, whether due to disease, disability, abuse, neglect, or poverty. We're a group of over 200 local women, and instead of hosting galas, we annually contribute dues, which we pool. And then we spend the year researching proposals for innovative local projects that are replicable, serving children. And then we award $1 million to make one of them a reality. Since the year 2000, our overall total in grants made is just under $19 million. It takes a terrific crew to run Everychild Foundation so seamlessly, so an enormous thank you to our executive board and our many volunteers, especially the grant screening board of last year, chaired by Mary Katz, Homeboy team leader Ellen Simmons, the grant outreach committee chaired by Anessa Carney, and last but not least, our amazing grant consultant, Lisa Clary-Riali. You all have been awesome. Now, many of you may be aware that in addition to my role with Everychild, I've been involved for over the past decade with juvenile justice reform efforts in Los Angeles County and statewide. And having served the past 4 years on the County Probation Commission, which inspects the juvenile facilities, the juvenile detention facilities, I've learned what many of you here today already know well firsthand. And that is that being locked up in our halls and camps is often more destructive than therapeutic. And it's why the creation of this new Homeboy Youth Reentry Center, a home for every child, is so important. Because the current system doesn't give kids access to services and the continued guidance that they need to survive on the outside. It's also why it's encouraging that the County Board of Supervisors last year launched a new task force, of which I am honored to serve, that's going to move us away from, hopefully move us away from the tired old punitive approach of youth incarceration to a progressive, holistic approach with a focus on mental health. Now, I mention this because this is going to require a dramatic shift in the culture of how we treat our most at-risk kids. And what better catalyst to expedite this shift and serve as a role model for others to emulate than this new Homeboy Youth Reentry Center, a home for every child. In closing, I'd like to just share a little story about why the Women of Everychild Foundation have placed such faith in this project. A key part of our vetting process for our grant candidates is a site visit. And obviously, Homeboy knocked it out of the park during their visit, or we wouldn't be here today. But there was one moment in particular that stood out for us. And that's when a young man who was in the pilot program got up to speak about how much the project would mean for him and for other kids like him if it were built. But it wasn't just his remarks we found compelling. It was the fact that he had actually come straight from the hospital, having suffered a bullet wound to his leg that very morning. You see, even a gunshot couldn't keep him away from advocating for this project. He felt so strongly about it. And needless to say, we were awestruck. And incidentally, I've since recently learned that this young man now has his high school diploma, so kudos to him. So on behalf of the Women of Everychild, to everyone at Homeboy, thank you, thank you, thank you for this incredible opportunity to partner with you in something that hopes to be a game changer for the youth of Los Angeles and for the entire community. And with that, I have a little something for you. Actually, I don't think it's that little. Hold on, I need to move my chair so you can see this thing. Here you go. This is our $1 million gift to Homeboy Industries from Everychild Foundation for the new Youth Reentry Center, a home for every child. And we are thrilled beyond belief to be your partner. And I am going to pass this over to Father Boyle right now.
Thank you very much. I think I don't know how we virtually handle. There you go. Thank you very much, Jackie. I'm going to hand this to a homie who will go to the liquor store across from Jim's Burgers and see if they'll cash it for us. I want to thank you, Jackie, for your friendship and for your guidance in the county, and now for this partnership with the Everychild Foundation and our Youth Reentry Center. Thank you, Hilda, for your leadership in this county and for your friendship for so many years. Thank you, Tom, for guiding the ship at Homeboy Industries. And Mark, that was so eloquent, and thank you for representing us so clearly. The poet Mary Oliver writes in a poem, she speaks of the soul clapping for itself. And so at Homeboy, anybody who walks through our doors over all these years, 32 years, they come barricaded behind a wall of shame and disgrace. And the only thing that can really scale that wall is tenderness, which is the highest form of spirituality. And they're received. And every man and woman and boy and girl who walks through comes with a disorganized attachment. Mom was either frightened or frightening, and you can't calm yourself down if you've never been soothed. And so if it's true that a traumatized kid may well traumatize, it's equally true that a cherished person will be able to find their way to the joy there is in cherishing themselves and other people. Our goal is not surviving as the fittest, but thriving as the nurtured. And so people are received and welcomed, and they enter into a community of tenderness, which really is our cultural competence. We talk a lot about the secret sauce at Homeboy, and I'm just so heartened that the Everychild Foundation recognizes that. It's the thing that I think sets us apart. Somehow we, welcome people in a way that's quite distinct. I remember a number of years ago, a young man named Louis got out of a camp. I guess I had given him a card when I visited one of the probation camps to say mass there. And he was quite nervous, and he was in my office. And I said, Louis, how can I help you? And he says, I'm looking for unemployment. And I assured him that he had found the right place. And so I hired him right away, and he started to work. And I watched him with the older guys who kind of were quite tender with him. And somehow he was like this dry sponge that wakes up with some water. And he was laughing, and he was talking to people, and even broke out of this shyness thing he had. And every day after he would come to our office from school, he'd kind of toss his backpack in the corner of my office like a lot of the younger folks do. And he would barely say hi to me because he was so shy, I guess. And one day he came in, and he put his bag down. Then he sat in the chair in front of my desk, and I said, Louis, hi, how you doing? He said, good. And I was writing something, and then I was kind of, engaged in small talk with him. I said, how'd you get here today? And he said, I walked. I said, oh, and I went back to writing. Then he gets quiet, and he says, actually, I came running. And that's the sound of the soul clapping for itself. And it's important to train, it's important to teach, and it's important to kind of guide people and navigate them, but there's nothing more valuable than the tenderness that scales the wall of shame and disgrace. And so we're eternally grateful to you, Jackie, and to all the board and all the women, the remarkable women of the Everychild Foundation, as we launch and continue our work in this Homeboy Youth Reentry Center. And together, we're all going to be engaged in this worthy venture in our county so that every soul can clap for itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. And again, I just want to reinforce what Greg said. Thank you, Jackie, and the good folks at Everychild Foundation. And thank you, Supervisor Solis, for all you have done for us along the way. And this concludes our celebration, but with time, we want to, as we open up our Youth Reentry Center, money was used to buy the building. Now we're rehabbing the building. We're definitely going to get updates out to all of you. And And, Mark spoke so well, and Mark's good friend Angel was the young man that Jackie was talking about. I think I always say one of Greg's life's missions is to shine a light on the goodness of all of us, and particularly the youth and the youth that we serve. And hopefully you will all agree with us, and you have agreed with us, and you can kind of follow our progress as we go along. So thank you all for joining.
Oh, they muted.